My name is Peter Abrahamsen. I am a psychologist and I work in the field of emotional health. So I basically help people get rid of their anxieties, their phobias, their post-traumatic stress, maybe bereavement, anything that's an emotional distress I can help you with. So today I'm going to give you a quick tour of mental health. It's something that people have started to talk about, and they sort of talking about it, but maybe we're not doing an awful lot about it. We have the celebrities and the royals, they're doing lots of good things. We've got charities doing an awful lot, but at the end of the day, we're still just talking about it, I think. I said I'm a psychologist. That brings me to killing one of the psychology myths. No, I haven't got X-ray vision. I cannot look at a group of people like you and say, right, they've got problems. If you do, I can't tell what they are, so you have to talk to me, otherwise I don't know. And the next one is, if I talk to someone like a professional, then the floodgates will open and they will know everything. If I tell them one thing, all the rest will be spilling out. No, it won't. I may ask, I may prod, but if you don't tell me, I won't know a thing. So psychologists are just human beings who've learned something. They do not have any special superhuman powers to just look straight through you. When people say, oh, health is important to me, most of them talk about their physical health. You know, you go to the doctor, you go to a physiotherapist, you go to your dentist if something is wrong. You may even join a gym, even better, you might actually go there and do something. We try to eat properly, cut down on alcohol, maybe throw in a few supplements. We look after our physical health and our well-being. That's what we think about when it's health. But very few people have actually talked to me about health saying, yeah, and I'm looking after my mental health as well. We don't do that. We take it for granted that this thing up there is just working, and it's working to perfection. Our minds are ours. We all have the same anatomy inside our heads, but it works slightly different because what scares the living daylight out of me doesn't scare the living daylight out of you. So we are different people, but we have more or less the same anatomy. So what can you do if you want to sort out your mental health? Well, first of all, you have to realize, actually, I do have a problem. There is something that isn't quite right, but then where do you go? You just don't, we have different doors. We go through that door to the doctor, that door to mental health. I'm no good for your physical health, and your chiropractor is no good for your mental health. So from an organizational perspective, it's nice, we split them down the middle, go separate ways, but actually physical and mental health go hand in hand. If you look after yourself, after your body, after your physical health, that will stimulate your mental health. If you're sitting down all day and you just go up and go for a walk for 5 minutes, your brain will start being more positive and think in better ways. So they're all linked. And if you have good mental health, you're more motivated to look after your physical health. So they do go hand in hand. However, you can be fit as a fiddle and run marathons until the cows come home, and be traumatized and riddled with emotional problems. If you look at mental health like a spectrum, you would have the end where you have schizophrenia, you have personality disorders. That's where the psychiatrists come in. Then you move towards the other end, you go past your depressions and various kinds, maybe eating disorders, OCD, and you end up further out here. You can call it the mild end, but that's a bit of a misnomer, where you have your anxieties, your phobias, your fear of spiders, your bereavement of a close friend or a family pet or whatever is going on just sitting there. All of them can be very distressing, but they require different intervention. And I'm not at the schizophrenia end, I'm at the emotional health end. And actually, most of the mental health issues in this world are anxiety-based. So it's the emotional health that is really where most people suffer. We all have a cold, we all suffer from mental health problems sometimes. Anyone ever felt stressed? Stress is a mental health issue, yes. Anyone had a sad, blue day? It's your emotional health. It happens to all of us. There is another myth that I would like to do something with, and that is the one that says, came across it in random conversation the other day, oh, anxiety and phobias, they all come from a past trauma. No, they don't. They do, but not only. If you have suffered a trauma like you've been abused or attacked or whatever, yes, certain things can happen after that in terms of anxieties and traumas. The brain is actually a little step ahead of us. The brain will unconsciously to us detect danger, and it'll start reacting to that danger that it perceives before consciously our brain kicks in and start processing further. So we think, right, okay, no, actually, he's not dangerous, move on. Or we choose to say, actually, oh, better take a step back. So we all have the ability to feel fear, we all have the ability to feel anxious. We were born that way, it's natural. Don't be afraid of that. Of course you're right to be afraid. If there was a big lion standing over there, you would all be afraid. Okay? Because it might come and do something, eat us. So fear is usually targeted at something that's tangible, physical, whereas anxiety, call it worry, apprehension, is something that might or might not happen. It's more intangible. It's when we start what-ifing ourselves into distress. What if this, what if that? If I stand here, what if they ask me something I can't answer? I could go completely overboard on that anxiety and then not be able to stand here and talk to you. So the brain, like I said, is one step ahead of us. Before we know what's happening, the brain has started already, and then we take over and kick things into the long grass or deal with it. So when we have a fear or a phobia, it means that the brain is actually doing what it should be doing. It's just doing it in the wrong context. It's gone overboard. It is exaggerating. You can almost compare it to an allergy, where the immune system is doing what it's supposed to be doing. It senses danger, it says, ooh, don't like this. Do something to the person that tells him or her to not go and eat or drink, whatever it is. But actually, it's perfectly safe. But it's just got it wrong. It's got it in the wrong context. That's what the brain does sometimes. It works hard all the time, and sometimes it just takes a step too far, and that's when we have our anxieties. A person I treated for a bird phobia had never had any trauma involving birds at all. But one day, the flapping of birds close to her was just freaking her out. It just happened. She doesn't know why, I don't know why. It doesn't happen anymore because we had a session and in a few minutes it was just gone. So if you have something along those lines, don't be afraid of it. Go and seek help. Do something. Just with physical health, it doesn't come without action. You have to do something. If you want to achieve something, be somebody, have something, do something. You have to make an effort. So if you can go to the gym, if you can go to the doctor, you can go and see a psychologist. It just sounds worse, doesn't it? But actually it's not. It's just something you do for yourself. Whole families I know of will go on holiday by car all over Europe because one person in the family is afraid of flying. Fear of flying, we take the whole family in the car, including the pets, and it's stressful like you won't believe it. But they do that. So we make detours, we make complications for ourselves instead of fixing the problem. So there is no glory in having a fear or a phobia or some emotional distress, but it doesn't mean that you are gravely ill either. So think about this, we don't choose them. Who here would choose tomorrow morning to wake up and say, from now on I have a phobia of chocolate? I can't stand the word, I don't want to be next to people who eat chocolate. I know you would have a big problem with that. I can't go down the aisle in the supermarket without feeling sick because that's where the chocolate lives. No, we don't do that. It happens like that, and then we have to make an effort to get rid of it. But we don't choose it, but we choose to hang on to it. If it's because you want the attention, well, there's another thing going on that needs to be dealt with as well. And what does it do to us? Well, I mentioned the going on holiday, which is a big traumatic event. We have days off work, sick days, for fear, for depression, stress. It all happens. It's not just physical health that keeps us away from work. So we make little detours in our lives. Can't go this way because, ooh. So we find ways of living with it. What we should be doing is say, you know what, I don't want to live with this. I just want to be free. You talk about emotional, financial freedom. We talk about all sorts of freedoms. Why not emotional freedom? Why not do a spring clean, whatever time of the year it is, to say, I want to get rid of all this. And if there's more than one thing, well, just take the one that's first in the queue and we'll deal with the other one later. It doesn't really matter. You have to do something. And what that something is, well, it could be a psychologist like me. It could be what I offer in terms of thought field therapy, which I'll demonstrate in a second. It could be going to see a charity that is relevant to you. It could be talking to a friend, family, person in HR that you trust. Do something, and I don't really care what it is. Motivational speakers, self-help books, yoga, anything you can think of that you think will help is better than doing nothing. Be careful about talking to somebody, because if you are that somebody who's being talked to, how do you respond? Do you know what to do if someone comes up to you and says, I'd like to talk about this problem I have, my emotional problem? Do you know how to deal with that? It's not easy. So be careful that if someone does talk to you, that you treat them just like you would that person in any other context. Talk to them straight, talk about what it is. Don't make excuses and run away, because it can be a very lonely place to have an emotional or a mental health issue. People shy away because they don't know how to handle it. And you then begin to feel, I am really wrong. No, you're not. But it's other people's insecurities and uncertainty about how to deal with it. I talked to a chap on the train one day coming back between Slough and Maidenhead. I thanked him, but said, no thank you, I don't want your Metro newspaper, as he had enough reading for one day, and he started spilling out he'd had enough, full stop. So inside the last year, his sister had killed herself, and inside the last month his dad had died in front of him and he couldn't help him. Why did he tell me that on the train between Slough and Maidenhead? Well, he did. And all I could do was say, okay, deep breath internally, and say, well, you've had a tough time, but you did try to help your dad, didn't you? Yes, did. What did the doctor say? Well, they said you couldn't do anything. So, you know what? You were there, you did it. You have nothing to blame yourself for. And then the next thing came out that I wasn't prepared for. I said, well, people say, I'll get over it. And then what I then did was say, no, you won't. Straight as a bat, no, you won't get over it, but you'll learn to live with it. And he just looked like it was a big revelation, because no one had talked to him like that before. And he said, well, you're so right, you must have been through that yourself. Again, be honest, I was. I said, no, I haven't. But I know enough people who have, and that's what they are telling me. So we got off at Maidenhead. He thanked me profusely for having talked to him. It took 5 minutes. But you have to be prepared sometimes for someone talking to you. So one thing is doing the talking, the other thing is doing the listening. Have you ever felt that you have an off day? You get up in the morning and you're a little bit clumsy. You maybe put the teacup in the fridge instead of the dishwasher. Something is just not going right. You write 28 when it should be 82. You say left, but you go right. And just sound familiar? Yeah.
Cereal in the fridge. Cereal packet in the fridge.
Yep, and you should go in the cupboard.
Yeah.
But are they opposite one another in the kitchen?
No,
okay, but it is the opposite of what you want it to do. So, funny enough, we don't confuse north with west, but north and south and east and west. So the exact opposites, left and right. It happens to all of us. I won't go into any lengthy detail about what happens, but in my world of thought, field therapy, which is based on old Chinese medicine, where we talk about energy meridians that go through the body, it is actually because we are sort of self-sabotaging. The energy flow is either blocked or it's going in the wrong direction. So, what we can do is a very neat little thing. Thought field therapy involves tapping certain points on your face, your upper body and your hands. I don't do it to anybody, you do it yourself. So I want you to try this with me. You've got your hand, got this piece here. Whether you use one hand or the other makes no difference. I'm right-handed, so I usually tend to tap with my right hand, but I could do like that. So this point here, 2 fingers, not your thumb, just 2 fingers or 3 fingers, and tap 15 times. Just that side with the karate chop piece. And that will, in a few seconds, just explode that blockage. And you can do that as many times in the day that you like. Try it, play with it. For some people, it's whew, it worked. Other people, it'll be more subtle and you might not even notice it. But if you have that sort of thing, oh, what am I doing here? Try this. Now what you have to do is like a handshake, firm but not hard. So not any sort of limp thing. It has to be, you have to feel it, but don't hurt yourself. And that sends the signals through the body that you should be fine again.